WXII 12 News at 10 on the Triad CW starts now.
If you get the wrong person in here that has a breakdown, there's no fixing.
Stuck in the cemetery tonight. Why it keeps happening to mourners and what grieving families want.
Plus, we'll tell you how much your gas bill could go up each month and why.
And another cloudy, overcast day across the Piedmont Triad. We'll look at when the hot summer heat returns and when the storms will too. New tonight, a cemetery in Walkertown has exactly one way in and exactly one way out. Problem is, a train track blocks that entrance, and that has occasionally trapped mourners inside for hours.
Yeah, this is an outline of it here behind us. Our Brandon Bates joins us tonight with more from family members who say not being able to leave after visiting a loved one's grave can be harder than the visit itself.
Gardens of Memory Cemetery is right off of Old Walkertown Road, and visitors say the trains blocking the entrance don't only impact those getting in, but those trying to leave as well.
When I leave my mother's gravesite, I always turn around and blow her a bye kiss.
Kathy Trivet frequently visits her mom, buried here at the Gardens of Memory Cemetery in Walkertown.
I come once a month just to visit her gravesite, or if I'm down in the dumps, I come more often.
But since 2001, she says her visits to the cemetery are sometimes either postponed or extended because of this. 2 train tracks that block the only way in and out.
And when you get ready to leave, there's a deep feeling. You know there's a loss, but it's a heartache. And if you get up there to leave and cannot get through that crossing there, you really break down.
We're married 52 years.
And she's not alone. Ronnie Barton's wife passed away 3 weeks ago, and when he came to visit, he was stuck in the cemetery for 2 hours. You walked around just like this, trying to find a way out.
And I even drove back over into the other side over there. And it's nowhere, just one way in.
This is the entrance to the cemetery that's causing so many problems for people. And as you can see, if the train was here and visitors wanted to leave, they have no other way out. It's an issue that the cemetery is well aware of, and management says they want the issue fixed as well. In a statement, they said this: "We're here to service the families. This is something beyond our control. If someone has an idea that would help, we would be open to a conversation about it."
If you get the wrong person in here that has a breakdown, there's no fixing them.
While she doesn't agree 100% with the response from the cemetery, Trivet says at least the problem is being addressed.
And I think it's so disrespectful for that to happen.
We reached out to Norfolk Southern, who owns the tracks at the cemetery entrance, and we have yet to hear back. People who visit the cemetery say they hope either the train schedule changes, the cemetery posts signs, or a new road is built. Anything to avoid them getting stuck here longer than they have to be. Reporting in Walkertown, Brandon Bates, WXII 12 News.
Tonight, 12 investigates the cleanup of the Yadkin River after 3 people in Caldwell County are accused of dumping things like bricks, nails, wood, and other construction debris along the river.
It's certainly piled up. People who live in the area contacted us about this because they're concerned about what they saw floating down the river into Wilkes and Yadkin counties.
After we started poking around and asking some questions last month, county and state officials ordered that debris to be cleaned up.
Mallory Lane is checking back in to see what kind of progress, if any, is being made.
Caldwell County officials say the landowners have made good progress, but there is still a ways to go before this matter is fully resolved.
You'll remember these images WXII 12 news cameras captured in early June along the Yadkin River. This pile of debris is from a construction site. It was dumped along the riverbank in Caldwell County. These images are from the first site along Winkler Way Road. According to the state, a second dump site was discovered at a property off of Highway 268. State officials confirmed one letter was sent to Edward Jake Ledford, the owner of the property on Winkler Way Road. His father, also named Edward, received a letter along with a woman named Patricia C. Ledford. They own the property off of Highway 268. A third letter was sent to Buddy Fogg Grading, Inc., which the state says is the company that delivered the debris to the dump site.
Wow, that's a lot of fill in there.
This is Brian Fannin. He's the Yadkin River Keeper who monitors and inspects the river. We visited a site with him last month.
So, big concern right off the bat is that probably a lot of that dirt may have gotten moved into the river when this came up and washed it away. Also, the freeing up of the other material in there, the woody material that may have washed out, and anything else that could be harmful to the river because we don't know what all was in there.
Kimberly McGee is a planning technician for the county's planning department. Wednesday, she says both sites have been cleaned and the debris disposed of properly. What still needs to be fixed from the county's perspective are the floodplain violations. The property owners need to restore the stream bank to its original elevation. McGee says the Ledfords do have a plan of action. It was submitted as of June 21st. She's hopeful this matter is moving in the right direction.
County officials expect this issue to be wrapped up later this year. Reporting along the Yadkin River, Mallory Lane, WXII 12 News.
New tonight, Piedmont Natural Gas has filed a request to raise base rates. Tonight, the company had a hearing in High Point to charge about 9% more. The gas company claims most people would see their bills go up by about $6 a month. Piedmont Natural Gas says that it needs more money to meet broad pipeline requirements set by federal agencies and to grow and upgrade the current system used across the state. Some of the customers that we talked to at tonight's hearing say they don't want to be the ones footing the bill.
There's other people who really need help and not getting it. There's other people who cannot support their greed. That is my prayer for them.
Piedmont Natural Gas says that this is the first time in 6 years it's requested a rate hike. If it's approved by the State Utilities Commission, the new pricing would go into effect by the end of this year.
Still no budget deal in Raleigh. Healthcare remains the big sticking point still. Governor Roy Cooper wants Medicaid expansion and is offering a compromise in hopes of getting it. However, Republican Senate Leader Phil Berger says to the governor, drop the Medicaid ultimatum and stop holding the budget hostage. Today, the State House initially scheduled but then later canceled a vote that would have expanded government-backed health coverage. This is the closest the debate over Medicaid expansion has ever come to getting a first hearing. Now, State House Speaker Tim Moore says there will be no vote on Medicaid expansion unless there's a vote to override the governor's budget veto first. Forsyth County Republican Donnie Lambeth believes his plan, called Carolina Cares, could be the compromise that both sides need to get the budget moving forward. His proposal includes work requirements and premiums, which is something Democrats don't necessarily want, but the governor says he is open to considering. Lambeth says it's worth a discussion to move things forward.
It's a step in the right direction for about 300,000 people in North Carolina that would benefit from this option.
And it's better than nothing?
And it's better than nothing, and I think if we don't do it, we basically will have nothing.
The governor's budget compromise does go beyond just Medicaid expansion. It also calls for an 8.5% pay bump for teachers. The governor says his compromise also accepts nearly 98% of the GOP budget, including millions in local earmarks.
Healthcare also the focus of a court hearing on Capitol Hill. Supporters of the Affordable Care Act are challenging a lower court ruling that says the entire law should be thrown out altogether now that there's no individual mandate. Today, a federal appeals court in New Orleans took a closer look at the constitutionality of the 2010 law. The case is likely to end up before the Supreme Court. Until then, healthcare reform seems to remain at a standstill on Capitol Hill. Republicans haven't introduced an alternative to the ACA after failing to repeal and replace. Democrats, meanwhile, cannot seem to agree whether to make changes to Obamacare or expand Medicare to all.
You will not be seeing drug prices on television commercials anytime soon. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from requiring drug companies to list their prices in any TV spots. Drug makers sued over it, saying prices in ads can be misleading. The judge agreed. Lowering drug prices has been a primary focus for the president. This also has bipartisan support. Experts questioned how listing drug prices in commercials would achieve that goal.
New tonight, a bill to permanently fund the 9/11 compensation program has a new name just days before it was set for a vote in the House. That money helps first responders who are now suffering from severe health problems as a result of the 9/11 terror attacks. This Friday, the House of Representatives will vote to either pass the bill to fund the program permanently or let the money run out. The Funding for this bill is now named after some of the first responders who spent their last days lobbying lawmakers to pass it. One of them, Luis Alvarez, died late last month from cancer complications linked directly to his time spent at Ground Zero.
In Virginia, the governor there, Ralph Northam, says the state legislature is not taking gun violence seriously. The governor pushed for a special legislative session on that topic today after 12 people were killed in a mass shooting in late May in Virginia Beach. That session lasted less than 2 hours and ended without a vote on any proposed gun control measures. Congress is now adjourned until after the November elections. In a statement, the governor says, quote, an average of 3 Virginians die each day due to gun violence. That means hundreds of Virginians may die between today and November 18th. The next day, the state legislature plans to work. He calls today's action or inaction shameful and disappointing. Republicans, however, are accusing the governor of being highly politically motivated in calling the special session in the first place.
New tonight, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has filed a lawsuit against the 1618 Concepts Restaurant Group. This is in Greensboro. The agency says that the company violated federal sexual harassment laws at its 1618 downtown location on South Elm Street. According to the EEOC complaint, an employee told managers about a male coworker repeatedly groping him, but the harassment continued until he was forced to resign. The lawsuit now seeks back pay and pain and suffering, as well as punitive damages, among other things.
Winston-Salem police say a drive-by shooting that killed a 5-year-old boy was in fact not random, but they still believe the child was not the intended target. Alberto Navarrete was shot in the head at his home in the Cole Village Apartments with his family on Sunday afternoon. No one else was injured. Investigators are now saying that the 3 teenage suspects were not just shooting at random. They were targeting a specific group of people in the same approximate area. 17-year-old Oscar Mendez Rodriguez is the only suspect named in this case due to the ages of the other suspects. Mendez Rodriguez has a bond hearing this Thursday.
Still ahead tonight at 10, the terrifying kind of tick that's killing livestock in the Piedmont Triad and may make you really sick.
Plus, fighting back against bullying, where it happens the most. The new feature social media companies are starting to introduce to make the web a nicer place, at least in theory.
We got a nice break from the heat out there today. The clouds provided us with a day in the 70s and 80s. The heat is coming back, though, so are the storms. Your forecast is coming up.